Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Watson?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
And I am here as well.
Oh. Minutes. Presentation of the minutes. We have the minutes before you. We had a chance to view it. Any at this time? Are there any other corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a second. Okay, if no further discussion, roll call.
Lynch?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes. Reading of the bills and the financials. You have before you the payment listing and the fund summary. Are there any questions on the bills or the financial reports? Do you have anything you would like to add, Chris?
Nope, it's all pretty much boilerplate other than the reimbursement costs for the OTA for the three of you.
And Chris, just out of curiosity, you heard any scuttlebutt as far as the first half property tax, if those will be delayed this year or come in on time?
I have not heard anything, but the auditor is saying he's, doesn't have time, everything's going to be late because of his budget cuts from the commissioners.
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as specified in documents provided by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded.
Euring?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Next item, you have the credit card listing for the prior month. All receipts were received. Are there any questions on this, on the credit card purchases?
I'll make a motion to accept the credit card account transaction detail as reviewed per policy. The card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
I will second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Did you want me to tell you where we are revenue and expenditure wise?
Yes, that would be
We
good.
skipped over that. Year-to-date revenue is $115,211.55, and expenditures are $178,088.56.
What was the expenditures again? How many thousand?
Expenditures. Oh, wrong sheet, sorry. $178,088.56.
Okay, all right. And you have anything else under financials that you'd like to bring forward?
No, I still have not heard from the state auditor's office, although we did have someone come into our office to have a meeting, well, into my full-time job, into the county offices, and I was able to speak with her, and we exchanged cards, and she promised me she would get me an answer, so. She was like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, at this time, we have our welcome. Welcome all those in attendance. And if you have something to bring forward or a question you would like to ask the board at this time, state your name and who you are and what the business is that you wish to bring before the board.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Good evening, Chair and Trustees. My name is Ben Bukowski. I'm here on behalf of Amherst Athletic Association. We've been the recreation, baseball, softball program in the city of Amherst for 74 years now. Next year is going to be a big one. So we've been around, and we've seen a lot, done a lot. We continue to try to keep building and make a better experience for the kids in the summertime. I think with the temperature in the world these days, it's probably needed to have some positive outlooks in or outlets in the summertime. Something to get their mind out of everything. On that regard, again, I'm here to begin to request your approval to begin a field renovation project planned for the 2 ball fields at the Township Park. The ball fields have served its purpose very well for the township, and to many it's been deemed a hidden gem. And I say that because not everyone, even people that live in Amherst, even knew that those were there. That's been a very consistent communication since we've begun playing our season games down there, which is surprising, but I live right around the corner, so it's kind of always knew it was there. But anyhow, while the fields have been maintained fabulously by a small group of volunteers who all have different end goals, but we're all on the same path to reaching those goals. The last couple of summers, there has been an uptick in ball field usage, and we feel it's time to raise the standards a bit for what people expect for safety, reliability, accessibility, and playability. The project that we're looking at doing is not about building something extravagant. We're not looking to put a progressive field there, but what we are looking for is to improve the playing surface alone. The limited amount of equipment we do have available has done the job, but there are things over years that erosion kind of takes some of the grading away, so we're looking to put some of that back where it needs to be at. We're looking to improve some of the drainage around the field as well. Nothing hardcore, nothing other than maybe rerouting some pooling areas towards the sewer drain that's located right there by the smaller ball field. So nothing too invasive, just something basic that could do worlds to help out a ball game getting in, because standing water is our worst enemy, right? But we're firmly behind the fact that these upgrades will reduce the maintenance costs, extend the life of the fields, and protecting the township's existing investment, and in the end, increasing the aesthetics of the park in general. The project in itself will be fully funded by the Amherst Athletic Association. This is made possible just by us being very careful about how we spend our money the last few years. It's been a multi-year build because we do not bring in tons of money to our summer program. All our revenue is based on registration and sponsorships. But shortly after COVID, we came to the idea of, listen, if we're better about how we're handling our money, we could probably do some things that would make some people happy in the area. People like to see things being done with the money that they're investing in their kids and the program that they're registering for summer over summer. So we started doing that a few years ago. Didn't know what the scope would be, but it kind of grew to, let's see about renovating some ball fields, because that's probably the number one thing we hear year over year on all the ball fields throughout the city. Currently, I believe there's 10 ball fields in general, and they all have their varying degrees of complaints on a yearly basis. So this is step one to kind of maybe pushing the agenda on getting some of these other fields up to grade too. Organization is committed to doing our part by helping out the contributing labor, fundraising support, and/or ongoing maintenance to ensure the township is not carrying this responsibility alone. A renovated field will help support youth sports and visually increase pride in the public space. We believe investing in this project is an investment in our kids, number one, our families, and the long-term viability of the township. With your approval, I think we can take the next step to putting some other projects together and building the confidence in the people of Amherst Township would have in AAA and the township in general, and show that our hearts are in it for the right thing, which ultimately is kids. So that's why I'm here. I would hope that you guys would approve this, and I think that the contractor we have located, after searching, comes with some pretty good, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people speak highly of this guy. I'll say it like that. John Falbo with Terminal was the person who originally put me onto him, And I love John. I think he's got good, obviously good business sense, and so I trust what he says when he recommends somebody. But I did do my homework on this company, and this is what they do. Last year, they did a 17-field renovation project in lower southern Ohio that took up a lot of their summertime, and the pictures that I've seen from that, it looks good. So I would hope, and after speaking with the guy on the phone, I actually had him drive out here so we can see what the project, the area that I'm looking for. There's no doubt he's in it for the right reasons too, and I think that he's willing to do the deed to make sure it looks great for everybody. So that's what I got for you guys. I'm hoping that you guys will vote to approve this.
My thoughts are, I'm very happy that you're investing in the community, very happy you're investing in the park, very delighted with it, and hope to work with you, cooperate with you as the township so that this project will be a very good project for both the athletic association and the community. That's my thoughts on this. I know you've been speaking with Neil. Neil has prepared a resolution on this, and he could probably add more, but I just want to say, from my standpoint, I'm very delighted that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you, Ben, for coming out. And just to reiterate, it doesn't cost the township taxpayers any money. You guys are doing the maintenance. It seems like a win-win to me. So,
Yeah, it
I'll
is.
look forward to seeing it.
I wanted to present it as a group effort, but yes, we don't mind getting in there and getting dirty. So
Thank you.
Yeah, Ben, for me, hearing you talk about the Amherst Athletic Association being in business for 74 years caused me to reminisce quite a bit. It was about 50 years ago when Dave Taylor conscripted me into coaching a team. And I was just a young man in college. I had, no skin in the game, but he had a coach quit on him. And he went to the stands looking for people that knew baseball and understood the rules. And unfortunately, two of us got pulled out, and the other gentleman had no son on the team. At that time, it was almost all young boys before they had added the girls. But it was a good experience, and I got to know Dave. And then in the 1990s, came back and coached again. And son of a gun, if Dave Taylor wasn't back running the league. He had left for a few years after his son was gone, and then he had come back. And they were in some financial duress at that time, but Dave was back. So I know the work that is involved, and particularly the volunteers. You talk about the volunteer and field maintenance. I remember pushing brooms and dragging rakes when it had rained, trying to get those fields ready before the kids showed up so that they could play. So I'll echo what my colleague said. It's very much appreciated. I was hoping our road superintendent, Kevin Smarsh, would be here because the way the resolution is structured, to be consistent with the signed agreement we have with the Amherst Athletic Association, it talks about the township administering the work. Essentially what Kevin will do is give you direction for the contractor as to where to locate the materials that he's going to bring in, since it's obvious since he's using some different soils, he needs hard surface. So that's going to take up a portion of the parking lot. Kevin can also give them directions as far as where to take the heavy equipment to minimize any type of damage that's going to occur around the field, and also the compaction. I don't know if he can go through the main area that's already compacted where we have some stone underground, which would be the best way to go, but he may have to go a different direction. So Kevin will coordinate that. So that's who you'll have to work with, because I'm already assuming that Jeremy and David are going to prove this. But just so it's on the record so that anyone watching this meeting is aware, you're talking about investment over $32,000 just in cash out of your coffers. That's significant. I know that organization. I remember we many times had to buy our own balls. They give you a couple of balls and that was it. Well, two balls with a team of 17 to 19 young men is not enough, to really get them going. So I think most
Hasn't
coaches.
changed.
Well, then so you know where to get them. Now it's probably a little different. What's changed is you can buy them online and probably get a much more competitive price versus running a local store and picking them out. But, hats off to you and all the people in the organization, because it's all volunteer. and you're aware how you lose the people as, you know, their children age out. You know, you've always got to have new people coming in. It's amazing to keep it going, you know, and I don't know how many students you have in there now, but it was always a big operation, always Memorial Day. I don't know if they still do that, was the big thing, you know, and heck, you'd have your first game, you'd have the parade, you'd have pictures all in one day. It made for a long day.
Yeah, the parade's a big thing for us. And, you know, one of the reasons we push for upgrading our jerseys and whatnot, which I'm sure, Jeremy, you've seen being a sponsor in the past. You know, the kids look good. They love coming out to the parade. The float competition has become a thing now. So what's comforting in watching the parade myself is I haven't had kids in the league in some time, but you still go to the parade every year, and you know, just seeing the pride that people have in doing that, it shows that there's pride in there. You just have to pull it out of people, you know, figure a way to get it out of there and give them a direction to an outlet to put that pride into. So I think this is a big step towards that as well.
Well, you're also creating memories for those kids and
Yes.
families. They're never going to forget it. I remember many of the young men I coached. Matter of fact, you mentioned two here that came later in the 90s. You mentioned John Falbo. You know, I picture him as a young boy, but I've seen photos online now. He's no longer a young boy.
Yeah.
And I've run into his brother Joe just out and about, and it's amazing the young men they've grown into. But it creates memories for all of those people. They're going to remember it.
We have a lot of dads coming up and saying the same thing. You know, they grew up playing on St. Joseph's Fields and the other ball fields in the area. So, you know, those are the dads that take a lot of pride. You know, and there's still those dads that we have to pull out of the crowd and say, hey, you know, we need a team. You know, so it's funny. 50 years ago, it's still the same conversation today.
Well, dads and moms, don't know if you still go through the drafts, but the drafts, I
Yes.
didn't just pick on the talent of the youngsters, I picked on the parents that I knew and who was going to help
Yeah.
and who was going to be there and who also wasn't a behavioral issue.
Right.
And so we were very fortunate. We always had good teams. We may not have won the championship every time, but we had a good time. And I think they definitely improved their fundamentals in the game. But with that, I'm just going to bring forward this resolution. You've got a copy of this, Ben. I did send it to you. And the copies of the quotes that you've got with the contractor here. And I had researched that contractor too once you sent it in. I couldn't find any negatives on it. I was hoping he would have been registered with the Better Business Bureau. He is not. But again, all of the comments were positive from people that had work. And it was nice to see that reconditioning baseball fields is one of their specialties that even market on it. So that was interesting. But consistent with Section 14 of the attached lease agreement by and between the Amherst Township Board of Trustees and Amherst Athletic Association, the trustees approved the planned Middle Ridge Road Park and baseball, softball, infield renovations by the Amherst Athletic Association per the attached Lewis Landscaping and Nursery quotes, and then also consistent with Section 4 of the attached lease agreement that the road superintendent Kevin Smar shall oversee and administer the work and coordinate with you, specifically identify the paved areas where bulk materials of approximately 24-ton loads can be stored for up to 3 days, identify mutually agreeable access areas for heavy equipment to minimize damage to the park facilities and grounds, ensure proper drainage is maintained, and coordinate the disposition of any sod or soils removed during the infield reservation. The appearance of Amherst Athletic Association officials at the Board of Trustees meeting to discuss and the baseball and softball infield renovations shall satisfy the steering committee annual meeting requirements specified in Section 13 of the attached agreement. The rest is boilerplate. And I only put that in so that we don't have to try and schedule a meeting with you since you're already here. It mentions you, so this will serve as our annual meeting. So that'll be my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any discussion? I would just like to add, just kind of reiterate what Neil just said. Just stay in touch with us. You know, we're delighted to have you. We want to work with you, but too often the groups, the associations that work down there, whether it be soccer, baseball, they lose touch with us. He's communicating with us, and we don't know what the status is. So if people, the groups would stay in touch with us at least like once a year or whatnot, so we know what's going on. We know what their pleasure is on that. So that's all I have to add. The motion's been made and seconded. No further discussion?
Lynch?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Uri?
Yes.
Thank you.
Number, Chris?
2/10/26.
Okay.
All right, Ben, you're good to go. You don't have to stay, and you know Kevin, so.
Yeah, familiar with Kevin. I do have all the intentions to get with him prior to anything being done. I already talked to Mr. Wilson, or Mr. Lewis, Wilson Lewis. He's going to come out for a pre-meeting before anything's brought down this way. I will make sure that Kevin's included in that, and we'll do it at his convenience, and we'll make sure that everything's done right.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bukowski. Next item on the agenda, correspondence, announcements. Do you have anything under correspondence, Chairman?
Nothing new.
Neil, do you have anything under correspondence?
I do, David. There's several items, and you've got them in front of you. You would have seen, it was more by email correspondence. Jennifer Six, she's the Director of Economic Development for the Envision Group, and she was in contact with our Township Administrator, Linda Ashley, trying to set up a meeting between the Township and Brownhelm Township. And Linda just wanted someone to contact Miss Six, and I did. And it appears what she wanted to do, she said she could meet with Linda and me, and she just mentioned Dan DePalma when we discussed it. As I probe more, she's working with them on a comprehensive land use plan update. And I'd given her a group of dates when I was available. She was going to get with Dan DePalma and get back with me. And as of up until the time I sent this out, I hadn't heard back from Miss Six, but she since then responded that she also now wants to include the village of South Amherst. And she just indicated an administrator. I don't know who that would be in South Amherst, but she says now there'll probably be some meeting in March, but she needs some time to coordinate that between three people. Her main interest since she's working for Brownhelm, is the quarry project, which is currently owned by Industrial Realty Group. And I don't know what direction she's going on that, because based on, she was not aware when I spoke with her that all three communities met jointly in the past when that zoning was set up. Well, realize over time all these people have changed. So it's, they probably weren't aware that that's how the current zoning came about. And the portion that was in Brownhelm Township, since there was the sense that there were more people opposed, really strongly opposed, so the property owner tried to leave that alone and was basically becoming a skeet shooting area more than anything else. So I don't know if Brownhelm has some different ideas now, since there's been so much changeover in how they want to approach this. But it is going to be an update to their comprehensive land use plan, which will then eventually impact their zoning. But I'm not sure if there's anything specific they want to change on the quarry property. But that's the only property that she mentioned and why they would want to have any discussion here with Amherst Township. So that remains to occur. So now that it's still up to her to decide how she coordinates that. The second item is Lorraine County subdivision review regulations are being revised. The key revision is developers complained before there was Lorraine County engineers regulations, Lorraine County subdivision regulations, and the two had some conflicts. It also made it difficult in deciding what direction people go and who approves what. So what the attempt has been is to combine those two documents, and it's not just to mash them together, it was also improve the process. And those have been emailed out to everybody to review. take a look at them because the first hearing on those will be at the Lorraine County Planning Commission meeting on March 26th. I can tell you what I've looked at, I like that it's in one place. I like that I don't have to go through two different documents. One key thing I wish they would have done, and this is more because of my background experience, I wish they would have put all this in a nice flow chart, and so that since there's different decisions as you go through the process to decide what direction you go, to me that visual would have made it easier, but right now it's just all in a booklet with different chapters, and if you read through it, you'll figure it out, but I just think that could have made it a little bit easier. But I don't know where the other townships will be on this. I know the initial version that came out, there was a concern that it was taking away the township's decision on the road construction that they'd have, because different townships have different desires as far as the road construction. Some want curbs, some don't want curbs. Some want concrete, some want asphalt. Some want both. They got different widths that they want. So what I could see, though, is the township's input for roads is still there. But we still have to keep in mind, as much as the township can put their input in there, it's still ultimately the responsibility of the county engineer. So a different county engineer someday down the line may say, I don't care what you guys want, we're going to do what the county engineer says. So it's, and David, as you're aware, ours, we talk about lighting. Probably one of the biggest things that you don't see in some of the other townships is the lighting requirement that we have. The next item is just to bring everyone up to date as far as the plow truck is after considerable conversations with Lorraine County prosecutor and back and forth with the supplier on this, we just are not comfortable that this supplier, who has not met any deadlines up to this point, is really someone we even want to work with. And you know, we mutually agreed, when I say we, it's between myself, Linda, Kevin, and the prosecutor, is that we want to step back from this. The supplier already gave us kind of like their drop dead letter to our drop dead letter of saying that if you don't send me so much money by such and such date, I'm putting it up for sale. We didn't respond to that because it's like, do what you want. The truck's
Some
now
of this
2 years
in
old.
Executive session? Or?
No, there's no need for executive session. We're moving on. We've got in writing what he was going to do in his drop dead letter, so we're going to take it. That's what he's doing. And I've already been in contact with ODOT to get their current contract, because if you've ever used the cooperative purchasing site, whether it's ODOT or the Department of Administrative Services, you can get lost in there trying to find, you know, the item's there. You know they've got it, but trying to get it with the search criteria to come up, it's just difficult. So I finally, the individuals that I've worked with down there, I sent them an email, they gave the link and it was perfect. It takes us right to it. It'll definitely be an increase, which we knew, but we'll work this out. We will probably try, and since there's multiple suppliers, just pick one that's closer to Lorraine County also. What is interesting, I haven't looked through all the different suppliers that won the bid through ODOT, but it appears they are all using the same outfitter for the snowplow accessories. And if you recall, the previous one said that was going to be an issue. Well, we found out that was not the issue. So I have my suspicions. I think it's because they lost a key salesperson at a key point in time, and that kind of probably got lost in the weeds here. But we'll be moving on that. I'll bring that before the board at the appropriate time. Actually, Linda and Morgan are going to be doing a lot of the research and in concert with Kevin on this. But it will be a truck about the same capacity that we were looking at before, because ODOT, again, in their bid, I'm assuming they change over their fleet about 70 trucks a year, because that's what they bid on last 2 years ago, and the bid for 2026 is also 70 vehicles.
We'll have it for next winter, you think, or who knows?
That might not be the case, but we'll do our best to get next winter. That's going to be up to the suppliers here, Jeremy, so by the time we bring it through to the board's going to have to approve it first and then issue the
We
order.
would have to go through the process all over again. We
Correct,
would have to do.
correct.
At least
Dot the
moving
i's,
on.
cross the t's. And then make sure it's done.
Okay, then the next item, and you've got a copy in here. I don't know that I forwarded it to you in the past. I can if you need it, but, we're going through the different options of the use of the NOPEC community grant funds, and this is the main funds, not the one for the community event funds. The community event funds are already spoken for. But since we've got a list of different options for using that, we really wanted to try and get to the one, and Chris is always making the point too, that's actually going to save us more money. We've done, most of our lighting has been changed over, and that has been a saving, but we want to go beyond that if we can. Well, to do that, we really need quantitative measures of our existing facilities and what our energy consumption is and where we might be having some losses that can be remedied. And to do that, you usually need someone that's professionally licensed to do those types of energy audits. That licensing is available and indicated on federal government websites. So I contacted NOPEC to see if they had a group that's certified, who they recommend. They actually do have a list of preferred energy audit organizations. And so that list is included on the email that's attached here. Let me see if you got copies of that. It appears you did not, but what we're going to do is take a look at those particular suppliers, and it'll probably be more who's closer to us as far as the list that NOPEC provided, so that geography-wise they're close, and then we might check to see who else they've already worked with in our area so we can see what the experience is, and then have them actually come out and give us a proposal as far as the cost of performing one of these audits. And that might then direct us into how to more strategically use the NOPEC grant funds that we've received.
Can we use the grant funds to pay for the audit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the questions for Kyla Presto, who is our relationship manager with NOPEC. So we definitely can, but at the same time, I want to make sure.
Yeah, we're not spending it all on.
Yeah,
on
and it's
audit,
not
nothing
something
left,
that's
yeah.
inflated, that is the going price and the expected price to do. And they're going to want to know the size of the building. I did ask Linda, because I know that Kevin would have a set of plans, if they don't want to come out initially to see it, is give them the square footage of what we have, what we use for our current heating and air conditioning systems, who our suppliers are. And if they had that information, that might help them at least formulate a rough estimate for budgetary reasons prior to actually physically visiting the sites.
Okay. On those grant funds, my favorite idea, I know there was a lot of them thrown out, but just something that could directly benefit the residents, was that if we could get electric to those pavilions, I think would be beneficial. If we could get some outlets or something.
And that
there.
is eligible.
Yeah.
That's definitely
That's my favorite idea for the, of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that is, yeah, because it's preferable over the flame lighting down there,
Right.
And I've been to other communities with family
All right.
get-togethers, and it's real nice having those outlets to plug into, and everybody brings things.
Even some
warm up.
motion sensor lights just to detract,
Right.
issues at night.
My feelings are, as long as we spend the money and don't have to give it back.
Yeah.
As long as
Well, we won't, but yeah, these are the two different, what Jeremy's saying is a good benefit for the community, and I fully support that, it's on the list. I'm trying to look at Chris, who was saying, hey, come up with something that saves money also. We did some of them to save money, but now we've got to get something here. Can we go with something better than just like all the lighting that's been changed around here, the lighting that's been changed in the park? That reduced our costs in terms of demand, but it's not as large an impact. And Chris, I know when we talked about the potential for the security cameras, realize that the load would be minor. We'd be using our current electrical supply here at the township. All we'd be doing is monitoring the salt shed, because you saw when the salt was on shortage, Kevin and Russ were lining up barrels
Right.
to
Well,
try
I just
and
know
minimize
that
people
across
coming
the
in.
street costs us $100 a month.
Yeah, that's different because that was additional, okay? This would have come up right here at the township. You would have definitely had the motion sensor, so you wouldn't really have had any consumption until there was real activity, and it would all be at night. And so, you know, when it's non-operational hours, so that it would discourage people from going in and stealing salt.
Oh,
But-
are windows?
Windows are, yes, so if they,
Because
but see
there's a lot
again,
of that, when it's cold, man,
I've
those
heard that.
windows blow through the.
I've heard that,
They're
but-
wide open.
but you see why it's better if you get an audit and you get quantitative measures by really seeing what's coming out at different times, so you know where do you spend the money first, because I'm sure when they come out, we're not going to be able to address everything. There's not enough funds to do that.
Correct.
And then we can weigh the pros and cons. Well, do you do something that's a benefit to the residents, or do you do something which is still a benefit to the residents by reducing the cost here, because it's their money, but where do we employ that money first?
It's a priority.
Correct. Okay, the Class 4 compost facility we have where we collect the yard waste, and I did not review the Ohio Administrative Code, but Linda explained to me that in December of 2025, there must have been some sort of change, and so now the EPA is requiring some additional documentation, and so she's still got to get more detail on it, but her and Kevin had put together our annual report, and the individual, let me get her name here, because, and
Jennifer.
oh, yeah, just say Jennifer, because, let me get Jennifer's last name if I,
Benaj?
Benaj, I think is the way I was pronouncing it, Benaj, but Benage. And they've exchanged back and forth and emails and voicemails to try and see what exactly is required here, but it appears the biggest thing is they don't want just an overhead map with the area. They actually want it to scale of no less than 1 inch to every 100 feet. They want contour lines, but it didn't say, well, contour lines at what distance. It didn't give us that detail, and it may be in that administrative code. They want every waterway in the area, so for us, that'd be the Batten House ditch and what the distance is to that ditch. And so we'll have to see. I also recommended, Linda, once we know what the EPA is requiring now that's different from years past, is that perhaps between Lorraine Soil and Water Conservation District or the county engineer, perhaps they can provide us the service versus having to pay an engineer or architect to draw that type of
I'm hoping
information
they would
up.
be more familiar with what they're demanding, and they would be able to hit it on the head.
Right.
As far as that goes, rather than us trying to meet their requirements and not really sure what their requirement is. And going
Right.
back
And
and forth.
I think
this
you
is
hit the
okay,
nail
is that
on the
okay?
head about we're not operating a composite.
Right, yeah, it's just
Right,
a
it's-
transfer.
right.
We collect it.
And I think if they knew that, they're going to go, oh,
And this is leaves and sticks, right? We're
Right.
not like putting
Right.
raw sewage
Right.
over here or something.
No,
Like,
no.
Yeah, I did not speak with Jennifer directly, but Linda did, and it sounds like this changed. Well, you've actually got it there since we were only doing the grinding once a year, and actually some years we go and skip a year, that she's considering it's there long enough. Yes, it is a compost. It's no longer a transfer facility where you collect the information, grind it, and then the supplier that ground it takes it away. So according to the conversation that Linda had with Jennifer, we've got to now meet some new requirements. So we'll have to look at that as to what really changed. but I'm sure we'll get it worked out. But it's obviously right now technically a finding that the report that was always supplied in the past is no longer good enough. So we'll see where it goes. Then I just received today and David, I think you asked about this at the last meeting. Rob Duncan put out an email, and he'd actually called me yesterday trying to figure out, well, who to invite. And I said, well, just invite all the trustees. Because he had a question the last time he invited me and you showed up, and he was, well, why was that? I said, well, because we've got 2 different tax districts, and I announced it at the, Board of Trustees meeting, and it's, if you want to show up, show up. You might want to go, Jeremy, once it gets scheduled, just to see what they do in the tax incremental review council meetings. Essentially, it's the school board, usually the treasurer, sometimes joint vocational school treasurer shows up, and then whoever the community representative is, and if it's the city, obviously, it's usually a mayor or who they send. Township, it's one of the trustees that show up. Their big decision is where do they stand on that tax incremental financing agreement, how much has been built out, when's it going to be paid off, does it need to still stay in place? And so that's the main thing. They usually schedule them like every 10 minutes. It doesn't even go long for each one. And they will schedule it all throughout the day. And they do pretty good about staying on schedule. But definitely mark your schedule for March 19th, anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., and we'll be hearing more details later. But that's it as far as the correspondence and announcements. I'll address the other item under reports.
All right.
Just real quick, sorry, David, with the correspondence with Jennifer, is there any direct communication with IRG, or this is all just the townships talking about it?
No.
Want to depend on what the owner of the land wants to do before we can decide anything, or?
I don't know if Jennifer, this is now, since we got 2 Jennifers here, Jennifer 6 from Envision,
right.
I don't know if she's had any contact with IRG directly on this. All I know is when I spoke with her, it was just because she put it as we have shared interests in the quarry project between Brownhelm and Amherst Township, and thought it was a good idea that we get together. And then I explained the history. Well, we did that. All 3 communities came together, and we actually had joint meetings. We did them at the old South Amherst schools, but then we each, to maintain the follow the law, we had to make the decision at our individual communities because of requisite public hearings required. She was not aware of that, and I assume Brownhelm wouldn't be either, because again, everybody's changed over, Jeremy. They're all new people, and so maybe she's resurrecting us again. But as far as IRG, I'll certainly ask that, but I don't even know what their interest is.
Yeah, that's my question. Like, before we're trying to plan anything, like, what is the owner of the property planning on doing?
Well, that I can ask, but I don't want to call him. I've got the Justin Lichter. I haven't spoken with him in over a year, but I've got his direct contact, and he's always taken my calls in the past, but I have no need to call him because I have nothing to give. This
Right.
is Brownhelm Township working on updating their comprehensive land use plan. And the only reason we're now involved is because the planner they're working with has asked for some input, but I don't know what they're looking for.
Okay.
All she mentioned is the quarry project. And I think there's 17 acres in Brownhelm Township, and I believe it's about 670 acres in Amherst Township. And I don't recall, it's over, I don't know if it's 200 acres, but the next largest piece is the village. So, between the village and Amherst Township is where the largest piece is, and then a small section in the northwest corner in Brownhelm Township, which, as the original plan wasn't going to be touched much at all. It's currently a wooded area, was going to stay a wooded area, and they had planned on having a little skeet shooting area over there.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm sure their plan's going to change from what it was, but definitely, we would encourage that the landowner be included if they're making that the focus, but
No
Until
word.
I hear
Yeah,
from
I'm just
them.
curious if there was involvement or, yeah. Okay.
like I said, I think she's just starting out with this because Brownhelm Township wants to update their comprehensive land use plan to what is acceptable to their community. And then once again, this is supposition, she saw that
All right.
piece and wondered, hey, maybe they need to talk with us too on what's going on. I mean, our plan, I told her, and she'd already seen it, I said, it's on the website. And so she said she'd already been there and saw that, but that's why she wanted to get together. And it was just today I found out she now wants to include the village in the discussion also. So
Okay.
it may come back to where it was before, where the three of us are getting together, but I hope we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this without knowing what's the owner want to do.
Yeah.
You know, where they stand. And their big hang-up, just so you have some history, was the availability of sanitary sewers. And as you're aware, the county's already got that $67.4 million from the state to put in sanitary sewers, which obviously could service this project, and that may be changing the overall dynamic. Amherst Township voted in support of a package plant completely constructed by the developer, who would then agree to give it up if sewers ever came up. But since that required going through NOACA in the village of South Amherst, and the county voted against that, and because the county leadership at the time wanted central public sewers, is the reason they voted no, NOACA said no to it. Our position was, if they want to pay everything, we prefer that versus having a TIF and taxpayer dollars used. But we were only one of 3 votes. So it's basically the way NOACA regulations work. If all 3 don't agree, it goes down. It seems like an odd way of doing things. You need 100% consensus, but in the long run, it might be better if the county's able to economically construct these sewers going up there. But I don't know if that's the impetus on this, or if it's just Brownhelm. And I'm sure, as a matter of fact, I know because I saw Dan DePalma at the Ohio Township Association conference. It might be 2 years ago now. But in any case, he was real interested in updating their comprehensive land use plan, and that was before the $67.4 million was even on the horizon. Okay, so might be what's kind of brought it into focus.
Okay.
All right. Under reports, ambulance service, I would ask Neil, do you have any,
No report,
a date?
Dave. Nope.
You don't have a date for the next meeting yet, do you?
No,
All
I'll
right.
wait for the chair to set it.
Sheriff's Department, there is nobody in attendance. Fire Prevention Officer, Chris Nyart, he's not here, no report. Zoning Inspector, he is not here, but he did provide a report. Year-to-date new construction, 29, total permits, 32. Revenue collected year-to-date, $47,615.40. Park fee, $7,250. He stated there is no current Board of Zoning Appeals scheduled or site plans scheduled for the Zoning Commission in March.
Good, they get a break.
And what else do we have here? Roads, Parks, and Cemetery. Road Superintendent Schmarsh is not here. Senior Services, Township Administrator, Linda Ashley, she is not here. Trustee
Yeah,
report.
she only comes to the first meeting. of
Yeah,
the
she
month.
usually comes to the first. Trustee reports. Jeremy, do you have anything you'd like to add at this time?
I'll just follow up. Linda had mentioned it with the fitness program, where there's some big grants that they put in the parks, where you're missing the deadline for this year, but I watched the videos, looked into it. It looks like a wonderful program. I have to look at the numbers and maintenance costs and everything on that, but something we'll follow up with.
Neil, do you have anything under reports.
I do, but the first thing is I'm going to encourage Jeremy to work with Linda and start on the grant application now.
Yeah.
Because they don't give you a lot of time when they open it, and you still take a risk because then they don't necessarily offer it every year. But since the Lorraine County Public Health now includes all of Lorraine County, since they've made that change, the grant's been shown every single year. Now, once you get one, kind of go to the back of the line, which Amherst Township was one of the first ones to receive it. And so they told us in the past, don't even apply, you won't even be considered, so we weren't going to spend our time on it.
Okay.
But I think enough years have gone by to reconsider it.
Okay.
So, but just start talking with Linda and, even working with the Lorraine County Public Health, we can find out. We might hear more when we go to the District Advisory Council meeting too.
Okay, good.
Okay. But yeah, David, in the second meeting, we typically give a report on stormwater. I did attend the Stormwater Advisory Council Committee meeting on Thursday, February 19th, and I did include a spreadsheet here for all of the community grant projects that were put in place. Unlike last year, when there were some funds left over, this year there are actually 7 applications. Total projects expenditures would be $1,073,875 based on engineering estimates, and the grant request is $722,914. Well, there's only $503,000 available in grant funds, and over $100,000 was a carryover from the previous year. And that carryover is both because of I believe it was roughly $400,000 that's made available, plus once projects get completed, it's rare, but occasionally they're actually completed at under budget, which allows those funds to come back to be available for community grant funds. So that being the case, hopefully we get ours funded on Quarry Creek, but I let the residents know before, there's no guarantee on this. I can tell you, in sitting at the meeting, I sensed Don Romankek was very supportive of the project, particularly since residents would actually be funding this, since we, Amherst Township, cannot provide funding. One thing I learned, which I was not aware of in the past, is when this has come up with the stormwater district, is to determine what that match was, they would take the average of all the other grant applications, say, well, that's the match for the one where it's resident funded. And now it seemed like I sensed some pushback from some individuals on this advisory committee. Unfortunately, 2 of those individuals will be on a subcommittee of 3 that recommends which projects get funded. And somehow they got to winnow it down to $503,000. Now that could be by just saying, well, this project aren't funded, or they can come back to you and say, can you make a change, either reducing the scope or something else, or increasing the amount of funding that's being provided as a match that will allow the project to go forward. So in terms of timing, they expect, they being the Stormwater Advisory Committee, which is the advisory committee to the Stormwater District Board. That district board is the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners. The Stormwater Advisory Committee expects to make their recommendation in April of 2026. So if that committee decides, hey, we might be considering yours, you're kind of scoring up there, but not enough, will you consider these changes? We then have until March 31st to get any changes in, because then the recommendations will be provided to the Stormwater District Board, which is composed of Lorraine County Commissioners. They will then make the final decision on the grant awards in May or June of 2026. And since the Stormwater District's been in existence since 2003, the commissioners have never overridden the recommendations from the Stormwater Advisory Committee. So usually whatever's decided at that committee is ultimately what comes about And with the county's current financial situation, I wouldn't expect, there's no way the county's going to say, you know what, that one's only, it's pretty close, we're going to put some additional funding to it. I wouldn't hold out any hope on that occurring. So the timing is, we will probably know in April if our project gets funded. There was no discussion on the mini grant that we put in. I fully expect that the mini grant we put in for the Deepwood Lane project will be approved, because though that also has scoring criteria, one of the biggest criteria is first come, first serve. And to my knowledge, nobody else had a grant in before us. So we should be able to get that funding. We'll hear soon from the Stormwater District, and once we hear from that, that's a reimbursement grant, so we will pay it first when we have that road project, and yes, and then we just got to follow up. And Linda's pretty good about checking on that, and then Chris, when she receives it, always lets us know when the funds come in so we can close that out. And that's one, David, I assume you're going to work on getting the bid language put together to get the advertisements for that public bid for the, there's actually 2 Deepwood projects, but they could be combined, I imagine. Okay? So that's the end of my report.
Next item, complaints, corrective action. I have no complaints, or am I aware of any new complaints have come in? Nothing under that, unless any of you want to add anything on that.
One thing I've been hearing about, and this might be more of a Lorraine issue, but some of the Hidden Valley residents having some high sewer bills. They were talking about having a group come and try to get some more information. But I know there's, I don't know exactly the finagling with the water and the sewer in the city of Lorraine and everything, but I've just been hearing some of the residents complaining about their bills going up.
They can come in, but essentially is the water distribution system and the sanitary sewer distribution system now are owned by the county. The city of Lorraine provides the wastewater treatment and the water itself as a commodity. And there is a written agreement between the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners and the city of Lorraine as far as what those rates are. And those rates are based on a percentage of what the in-city rate is. So if the in-city rate goes up, our residence rate goes up proportionally.
We have no power over that.
None.
Okay.
But
I'll let
they are
them know.
tied to that, they're indexed to that.
They were talking about
Otherwise-
bringing 10 families up and talking at the township trustee meeting, but I
Was-
can relay that we have no
If
power
they
over
want,
it.
we can explain. We can explain, but we signed that contract, and it was a longer-term contract for this service, or the county took over the lines, and they signed that contract. Actually, it was the county that did it, not us. But prior to that, Lorraine changing that, well, so we say their rates, and they could have doubled them.
They did
What
it
they were
once.
paying in the city. Yeah, they were a time, the sky was the limit on that. Every month they raised it again, raised the price more. So this at least gives some kind of a guarantee on the price. It may not be the lowest, it's not the highest, and it's not going to be jacked up to the sky like they were trying to do before.
Okay.
So there is some safeguard, that's what it is, it's a safeguard. There is a safeguard by that contract, and that was intended to do.
Okay. I'll relay that, thank you.
Okay. Complaints and corrective action, nothing. I have nothing. Unfinished business, do you have anything to bring forward under unfinished business? Jeremy, Neil?
No.
I have nothing at this time. Under new business, I have nothing to bring forward again. Does anyone have anything else to bring forward before the board? If not, our next regular meeting will be March 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. Work sessions as needed, but I don't see one as being needed right now. No audience or no more audience concerns. We don't need any, let me rephrase that. Is there any need for an executive session? If there's no need for an executive session, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second?
Lynch,
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.